The infamous criminal Marsh King escaped and was on his way to kidnap his granddaughter. Helena, Marsh King's daughter, had to employ the skills taught by her father to shield her own child from imminent danger. When Helena was young, she usually sneaked away from doing household chores with her mother to go hunting with her father, Jacob. Seeing her determination, he agreed. The girl found the footprints of the prey, and by examining their depth, she knew it was running away from them. Jacob asked where she would run in this case. Helena replied that it would be a place where no one could see her. Helena continued forward and found a tuft of fur on a tree branch. Going further, they discovered a large deer. Jacob handed the gun to the girl and told her to finish it. Helena wondered what would happen if she missed. Jacob replied that tonight they would go hungry. The girl aimed at the target, but before she could squeeze the trigger, the deer managed to escape, causing her shot to miss. It turns out the deer had sensed their scent. They returned home with nothing, greatly disappointing the mother. The father took out a jar of ink and told Helena to roll up her sleeve. The father tattooed on her arm to remind her of today's failure. The next morning, they went hunting again. Seeing a wolf's paw hanging on the trap, the girl asked where the rest was. Jacob said it sacrificed itself by biting off its own leg to survive. Later, the forest echoed with the sound of gunfire. They successfully hunted a big deer. On the girl's neck, a deer tattoo appeared. While Helena was cooking the deer meat, she heard a noise from the warehouse. Curious, she peeked through the door crack and saw her father hiding a hunting rifle under the floor. Later, Jacob stepped outside, and Helena wanted her own warehouse, but her father said she had to become a skilled hunter like him before. He playfully lifted his daughter, and Helena wondered about Jacob's 3 golden teeth. It turned out he had carelessly tripped over a low tree branch and broke a tooth while hunting deer in the forest. That night, hearing the howling of wolves outside, Helena cautiously opened the door and saw a wolf. Jacob appeared from behind and asked the girl to shoot it. Helena thought the wolf might be hungry, so she suggested giving it some leftover food from the kitchen. However, her father taught Helena that if we don't have food to feed it, in its eyes, we are all prey. Helena once again pointed the gun at the wolf, but she noticed a wolf cub next to them, causing her to hesitate. At this moment, Jacob grabbed the gun and fired 2 shots at the wolves, instructing the girl to always protect her family. This action led to her being punished and confined under a deep pit. Helena engraved the words, "Protecting my family," and promised herself not to forget the lesson of that day. The next day, Jacob went hunting alone. While Helena was playing with ants, she heard the sound of a motor approaching. A man was lost. Since there was no phone signal, he couldn't find a way out of the forest. Helena's mother came out, shocked, and pleaded with him to take them away before he returned. She quickly hugged her daughter onto the vehicle, pleading with the man to take them away immediately. Before the man could understand what was happening, he was shot in the throat. It turns out Jacob had returned. Terrified, the mother tried to start the car, but Helena couldn't stop struggling. She didn't understand why her mother was trying to escape from their home, screamed, and tried to run towards her father. With no other choice, her mother grabbed a nearby rock, struck Helena unconscious, and carried her away. Not knowing how long they had traveled, Helena woke up in a room. Police officer Clark appeared to reassure the girl and informed her that her mother was in the next room. Terrified, Helena ran to her mother, questioning why she was taken away and expressing her desire to go home and see her father. At this moment, the mother explained that Jacob had kidnapped her and taken her into the jungle for 12 years, but Helena still didn't believe it and thought her mother was lying. Right after that, Clark locked Helena in a room to help her calm down, but Helena continued to seek a way to escape. Suddenly, she saw Jacob's necklace outside the window. Knowing that her father was here, she broke the window and escaped. As she roamed around, she heard the sound of her father's flute. It turned out Jacob had been here for a while to pick up his daughter. However, the police discovered them and surrounded the kidnapper. Before being arrested, Jacob promised Helena that he would come back to find her. In the end, this dangerous criminal was captured. As time passed, Helena grew up and had a happy family with her adorable little daughter named Marigold. Today, Helena took her daughter for an outing, playing together. Marigold asked about the tattoo on Helena's arm, triggering memories of her time with Jacob. Her father explained that the tattoo symbolized family. That evening, Helena's husband, Stephen, took her and their daughter to a party. A friend inquired about Helena's tattoos, but she didn't want to discuss them, and deftly changed the subject. Later that night, Helena read a bedtime story to her daughter, unaware that her infamous criminal father, also known as the Marsh King, was escaping from prison, along with other inmates. The next day, while Helena was at work, she had an uneasy premonition and hurriedly drove home. Upon arrival, the police surrounded the house. It turned out they came to inform Helena that Jacob had escaped and wanted her cooperation in the investigation. Helena claimed she hadn't been in contact with him for years, and finding Jacob would be impossible if he escaped into the forest. Stephen returned at this moment and learned that the notorious criminal known as the Marsh King was his wife's father. He was deeply disappointed that his wife had hidden the secret for 20 years. That night, the criminal's escape was broadcast across news channels. The police surrounded the house, fearing that Jacob might come and harm Helena's family. Helena went down to the basement, opened a wooden board, and took out the memory box from the past. These were the items Jacob had given her, including a dagger, a gift when he recognized her as a true hunter. Meanwhile, Jacob boarded a car with 2 other criminals, driving away into the night. The next morning, police officer Clark visited Helena as he heard the news of Jacob's escape. He had also been the one taking care of Helena's mother before she took her own life. At that moment, a police officer arrived to invite Helena to meet with an FBI agent. She announced that her father had died while crossing the border to Canada. The car inexplicably lost control, crashed into a tree by the roadside, and exploded. Although the individuals inside had burned beyond recognition, the FBI discovered a corpse with 3 gold teeth, believing it to be the corpse of the Marsh King. The next day, Stephen brought their daughter home. He wanted to know what had happened to his wife in the past and the origin of the tattoos on her body. Helena was afraid that he wouldn't date her if he knew she was the daughter of a notorious criminal. At this point, Stephen just wanted his wife to believe him and open up to him to share everything. As he was about to leave the house, Helen stood in front of the car to stop him. She began to recount the stories she had hidden from her husband for so long. She had been in the woods with her criminal father for 10 years. She never expected that the person she trusted the most was actually a monster who deceived her all that time. Helena undressed to explain each tattoo, the deer symbolizing her first hunting experience, the stream when he taught her to swim, or when he tattooed her arm after missing a target. Little Shadow was the nickname he gave her, and the drops on her face represented the only tears he wanted to see. Upon hearing this, Stephen imagined the horrors she had endured and comforted Helen by hugging her. The next day, the couple brought their daughter to meet Clark and told her to call him Grandpa. Finally, Helena acknowledged Clark as her stepfather. She walked around the house, reminiscing about her mother's happiness pictures. Everyone sat down to chat happily and recall old memories. Clark escorted Helena home, and he told her the tattoos on her hand meant possession, not family, as Jacob had deceived her. While driving home, Helena suddenly saw a 3-legged wolf crossing in front of their car, reminding her of Jacob's lesson. That night, while sleeping, Jacob appeared, calling my little shadow, causing her to wake up startled. It was just a dream. She went to her daughter's room to check. Helena felt like her father was still alive and watching them. The next morning, she saw mud on the doorstep, frightening her. Thinking Jacob had broken in until she saw Marigold's shoes covered in mud, and she sighed with relief. While shopping, Helena suddenly heard a familiar flute, making her startle. When she turned around, she saw a figure exactly like Jacob. She quickly chased after him, but lost track of him. Helena suspected that Jacob was around and observing her house, so she set traps around the house and hung small bells on strings for alarms. She also carefully secured all doors. Helena put her daughter to bed and read her a bedtime story. As she was about to return to her room, the bells outside started ringing continuously. Immediately, she grabbed a dagger, opened the door, and headed toward the sound. It turned out to be just a rabbit caught in a trap. She heard a noise coming from the house and realized she had fallen into Jacob's trap. She quickly ran back to the house. When she was about to attack, she recognized it was Stephen. Seeing Helena's horrified face and her bloodied hand, he became worried. She explained that it was just the blood of the rabbit. Stephen hugged Helena and reassured her. The next day, she called Clark to tell him about her fear, believing that Jacob had removed his 3 gold teeth to fake the scene and deceive the police. Marigold suddenly screamed and Helena ran to her. It turned out the girl couldn't find her bag, but at that moment, Helena saw 2 dolls. These were the toys she made in the past. Terrified, she immediately took her daughter away from the house and sternly told her not to listen to anyone but her parents. Helena went to Steowen's workplace and asked him to pick up their daughter after school and informed him that she would leave for a short time to arrange things, promising to explain everything when she returned. After that, she set off to return to the house in the woods. Seeing the waterfall in front of her, childhood memories once again flooded Helena with a familiar feeling, making her feel comfortable. The house that was once a home had now turned into a desolate ruin. She placed 2 dolls back in their positions. Jacob appeared from behind, saying, "Hello, my little shadow," a familiar greeting. Helena was stunned. Jacob slowly approached and asked her to take a walk with him. It turned out that he had been monitoring Helena all along. She realized he was still alive when she saw the 3-legged wolf, which was a lesson Jacob had taught her. It was also the way he sacrificed his 3 gold teeth to deceive the police. Jacob revealed he planned to lead her and Marigold across the Canadian border. Helena immediately refused, stating that she was happy with her family. However, Jacob knew she always felt discontent outside because this was where she truly belonged. Yet he accepted her refusal. Helena hugged her father one last time and left. But when she approached the house, she discovered that Clark was also present. It turned out Stephen was worried and had called Clark. While they were talking, the Marsh King appeared and shot Clark. He grabbed Helena by the hair, accusing her of betrayal, and threw her into the same pit where she had been imprisoned before. She saw the words, "Protect the family," that she had written, and memories flooded back. Her mother had risked everything to rescue her, and Helena realized her mother could have escaped, but stayed to protect her, but she never recognized her mother's boundless love. Determined, Helena decided to climb out of the pit. After several attempts, she succeeded in reaching the top. Seeing the warehouse in front of her, Helena immediately remembered the place where Jacob kept his gun. She took it out and chased after Jacob. Finally, she spotted him. Helena exerted all her strength to run along the river, but the fast-flowing water prevented her from catching up with him. Helena decided to take out the gun and aim at Jacob, but the distance was too far and her shot missed. Seeing this, he jumped into the water and escaped. Helena continued her pursuit downstream, following the traces. Bloodstains and footprints led her to a marsh. As she stepped over a muddy puddle unexpectedly, Jacob was hiding beneath the mud. He shot Helena in the leg and demanded her to lead him to her boat. He handcuffed her and pushed her forward. When Helena saw the boat, she pretended to fall down the cliff, continuously begging for her father to save her. When Jacob was off guard, she pulled him down. Both fell into the stream unconscious. After a while, Helena woke up before Jacob. She grabbed the nearby gun and Jacob pulled her leg. Helena kicked him several times and finally retrieved the gun. He tried to stall for time to grab the gun and shoot her, but Helena was vigilant and shot Jacob dead first. She struggled to crawl to her boat. Helena paddled the boat away from the marsh, symbolizing her final escape from her father's shadow. This is the end of the movie. If you enjoy it, please like and subscribe to support my channel. Thanks for watching.